Hello, and welcome to the Global DIY Network, and to this, my sixth interview in the series Meet the CEOs of the leading home improvement companies from around the world. My name is John Herbert, and I'm the General Secretary of EDRA, the European DIY Retail Association, and of GIN, the Global Home Improvement Network. Together, these two associations, we have 215 members, operating all over the world in 74 countries with over 32,000 stores, and our members' sales in excess of 320 billion euro. I would today like to welcome all our members, wherever you may be around the world, and also the members of our partner association, the HEMA, as well as the sponsors and the delegates who've already registered for the Global DIY Summit to be held in Copenhagen, hopefully later this year. It is now a great pleasure and an honor for me to introduce you to Mr. Hiromasa Tsuchiya, the owner and the chairman of the leading home improvement company in Japan, who has altogether 225 stores and the annual sales approximately 4.5 billion American dollars. So may I now welcome Hiromasa to our meeting today, and thank you for joining us.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Well, very nice, and thank you for coming. And now we look forward to your presentation that we are going to give us. So you may start now when you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, John. Good afternoon and good morning to everyone. Thank you for giving me such a great opportunity. I am the owner and chairman of Cainz. I was the CEO for 17 years, but stepped down 2 years ago and appointed Mr. Takaya, who was the CEO of Misumi for 5 years as my processor. Misumi provides services that improve the efficiency of the process for procuring materials by using their own personal model. Now, I'm the head of our holding company, Tsuchiya Group. Let me give a brief introduction to Cainz. This is a rehash of the material I gave a presentation at the DIY Summit in London in 2015. My father founded our home center business in 1978. Now we have 225 stores and 22,000 employees. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about Cainz DIY in Japan. First of all, I would like to explain the name of our company, Cainz. Even though the name of our company is spelled C-A-I-N-Z, it is pronounced kind, derived from kindness. We changed the K to a C to emphasize that customers come first. Today, I'd like to show you our business model and then the outlook for the DIY market, especially in Japan. I'd like to focus on the following 3 points. First, the DIY market in Japan. Second, the characteristics and potential for developing Japanese home centers. And third, the characteristics and growth model of Cainz. So let's begin with my first point, the DIY market in Japan. The Japanese home center industry represents about $40 billion worth of business, and the market is inching up even in our declining economy over the last year. Today, there are about 65 home center retailers in Japan with sales of $30 million, which dominate the industry. In 2019, the top 5 home center companies dominated about 46% of the market, and top 10 accounted for nearly 65%. Cainz have about 11% of the Japanese home center market. Last year was especially important for us because we reclaimed the title of the largest home center chain in Japan. Our turnover was about $4.5 billion. Next, let me talk about some characteristics of the current Japanese home centers and the background that has led to such characteristics as well as their potential. In Japan, the home center business started about 45 years ago. There were no home centers in Japan when I was a child. The founders of my father's generation brought in a range of products that has not been available in Japan until that time. Modeled after the US home improvement centers and superstore, they created the Japanese home center. Over time, it developed into a unique business style more suitable for the Japanese market. If you come to Japan and look at Japanese home centers, you would perhaps wonder if they are really home centers. Please take a look at these pictures. They show some of the sales areas of Cainz as a general example of Japanese home centers. This is our power tool section. In our lighting section, some stores also have a lumber yard. Many stores same have a large gardening center as well. This is a picture of our Tsurugashima store's all-weather gardening center. Japan has 4 clear-cut seasons, so we would like to Japanese people to enjoy gardening that varies with each season. These features are common to both Japanese home centers and those in other countries. Next, please take a look at this. You will see that the DIY market is much smaller in Japan than in Western countries. The DIY culture, as it exists in Western countries, has not taken root in Japan. Large-scale home improvement centers in Western countries carry a lot of products, even enough to build an entire house. But there isn't enough demand for such an extensive range of products in Japan. I can think of 3 reasons for this. First, Japanese houses are often too small to provide an area to work in. Furthermore, DIY in garages or sheds is not a common hobby. Secondly, there have always been a large number of highly skilled carpenters in Japan. The people have come to entrust all of their building needs to them, including simple remodeling projects, rather than attempting to do it themselves. Thirdly, prefabricated home builders have taken control of the housing industry by mass marketing prefabricated houses. Therefore, ordinary people have grown accustomed to purchasing a completed house. As a result, Japanese home centers tend to also offer a wide range of general goods in addition to DIY materials. For example, daily necessities such as shampoo, toothbrushes, supplies, kitchenware, and home interior goods. We can say that Japanese home centers are a hybrid form of home improvement centers and superstores. In this way, Japanese home centers have developed and expanded into a business style unique to Japan. Since the 1980s, home centers have been opening up at a rapid pace in the suburbs. Factors that explain the background of this phenomenon include the development of a suburban lifestyle owing to the progress of motorization, the need for one-stop shopping for people who want to buy products from as many categories as possible in one shopping trip, business demand from professional builders and farmers who want to buy materials and supplies. And finally, the emergence of new vendors for home center materials. I live in Tokyo now. Whenever there is any change in my family's living situation, for example, our children entering school or the family is moving, the home center comes to mind first. The Japanese home center has now become an essential part of our lives. In this way, in response to changes in Japanese lifestyles, Japanese home centers have changed their business style to become more convenient. This is because retailers need to meet changes in the market and can create new markets by responding to changes. In particular, it is important to satisfy the customer's needs to improve their quality of life. This is a theme that the Japanese home centers should continue to address. I think the business model of Japanese home centers may prove to be a successful model for home centers in other Asian countries in the future. Finally, let me explain the characteristics and growth model of Cainz in relation to home centers unique to Japan. One of the remarkable features of Cainz is its capacity to develop unique products in response to market needs. At present, regional products account for about 40% of sales. Based on our unique marketing, we are creating products different from other makers in terms of easy maintenance, color coordination, and useful function, all for improving lifestyles. These pictures show some of our products. This is a Japanese color paint. We have recreated ancient Japanese colors, and this paint is suitable for coordinating color in Japanese houses. Here is pretty much Picasso. We sold under an exclusive contract a flowering plant which can do well even in the Japanese environment, which is said to be difficult for flowers to thrive in. I'd like to note that we began to sell this flowering plant in 2011 after the earthquake that occurred in March that year. Since we wanted to console Japan, which had been plunged into grief due to the disaster, we aired a TV commercial for the flower for the first time in April. Another example is our pet clothing. Pets are considered family members in Japan as well. To protect the health of these important family members, we have developed clothing with various functions. Now, I would like to introduce some service initiatives unique to Cainz. In our larger stores, we provide a section called DIY Style. In this section, we conduct campaigns to show our customers how to do it yourself. Viewing DIY broadly as activities to make and create things, we provide various educational programs ranging from wall painting to making smoked foods. We believe our broad interpretation of DIY is helping to address customers' needs for improvement in the quality of their lives. Another distinctive service we offer is a cafes. In most stores, providing customers with a place to relax. The purpose of our business is to create an affluent lifestyle, and our motto is change the world by changing everyday life. We plan to continue growing by creating ever more attractive goods and services. And we would like to expand these characteristics of our business model into other countries. Thank you very much for your attention. I appreciate your kindly attention to my speech about the kinds of things you will find into our Japanese home centers. It is my sincere hope that in the coming years, we can all learn much more about kinds from one another for the benefit of all. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Hiro. It was an excellent presentation and gave us a very, very good overview of the Japanese market. As you know, 2 years ago, Edward Jin organized this study tour to Japan. And there is a saying in retailing in Europe, retail is detail. If you want to see detail at its very best, go to Japan. Your stores and the other stores we saw in Japan were truly impeccable. So we can now start with the interview. And of course, we're all suffering. The whole world is suffering from this global pandemic. And I know also in Japan. I am here in the middle of Germany, in Cologne, right in the center. And everything is closed, no shops are open, nobody about. The car parking area, normally full, was totally empty this morning when I came. And so we're really suffering. Japan has been amazing, really, how you've mastered this disease. You have double the population of the United Kingdom almost, and yet you've only had 7,000 deaths in Japan, whereas in UK they've had 117,000. And the same high figures, not quite as high, for Germany. So what is the present situation with COVID-19 in Japan today?
Yeah. Since the turn of the year, the number of COVID-19 patients has increased rapidly. There are days when the number of newly infected people is close to 8,000. And total number of infections has reached over 350,000. Japan is experiencing a so-called third wave. In reaction to the situation, the Japanese government has declared a state of emergency in Tokyo and the surrounding prefectures from 8th of January to February 7th. This has also extended by one more month. However, unlike other countries that if enforce strict lockdowns, we are only asked to refrain from making non-essential outing, though restaurants in the target areas are requested to close by 8 p.m. Consequently, the spread of infection is decreasing, but has not stopped yet. But there is no request to close our retail businesses.
So it's very nice to know you're still open. So how are you coping? How is Cainz coping with the pandemic?
Yeah, on January 28th last year, we formed a task force in response to COVID-19. As the head of the task force, we appointed the CEO. We compiled a countermeasure manual before the end of January. In February, we had already taken several countermeasures. For example, shortening store business hours, asking customers and employees to wear masks and follow social distancing rules, and sanitizing equipment, shopping carts, baskets, doors, and surfaces. In Japan, the government declared a state of emergency in April. Just before this, it was declared that home centers would not be counted as an essential business and would be a target of temporary closures. However, we at Cainz wanted to continue supporting our customers through this difficult time. Then, even before the government's announcement, we are the first Japanese home center to announce that we would keep our stores open. One of the things which felt most difficult to judge was the balance between the continuation of store operation and the safety of store staff. I issued a letter addressed to all staff saying that our business is lifeline for local people and should not stop. But safety and security of our employees and their families is also our priority. So I am so grateful that everyone made their best effort, contribution consequently. Thanks to Edra-Jin community, we could share the information regarding how Edra-Jin members are doing in each region and could install the proper countermeasures in time in Japan. Looking forward, I'm convinced it is important to continue taking necessary steps according to the change in the pandemic situation throughout about 225 stores.
Okay, well, thank you very much. But so everywhere in the world, generally speaking, home improvement sales have been very good during this pandemic because people have been made to stay at home, and particularly when the stores have been open. So how has the sales been affected in Cainz?
Yeah, last year, Cainz achieved a double-digit increase despite the coronavirus situation. In particular, the categories where sales increased were hygiene items such as masks and hand sanitizers. Since the beginning of this year, this category has shown an 18% increase in sales, and sales of hygiene items are still strong due to the influence of the third wave. Last year, the demand for masks and toilet paper greatly exceeded supply, and there was a time when we were running out. But now there is no such problem, and it is expected that sales of DIY and gardening will continue to grow as a new custom from last year have taken root.
Well, you must be very, very happy with 18% more sales. That's very, very good. And it's in line with a lot of people here in Europe, what they've been enjoying as well. So we've all had a very tough time. It doesn't seem to end at the moment, this COVID-19. It's going on, and hopefully we'll end this year. So what have we learned from this pandemic?
I think this pandemic has been a trigger for us to reconsider our lifestyle and values. People pay more attention to and spend more time with their families at home rather than work at office or go out. In terms of work, remote work is becoming more popular. As a result, the value of time at home is increasing. In addition, people pay more attention to health and safety. Due to these changes, our sales have been increasing. I think this is because of our effort to make various proposals to improve daily life. I call this, in a broader sense, the DIY of life. The philosophy of our business will continue changing along with the changes in everyday life. I think we as Home Center are going to have more and more things to offer our customers.
Well, the way you've just answered that question, if I'd have asked it in America, if I'd have asked it in Europe, if I'd have asked it in Australia, we would have all got the same answer. I think one of the good things to come out of this pandemic, Hiro, is that people have really, the customers, they've really discovered their homes again. And we hope, and I think this trend will continue even after COVID-19, because it's really proved just how valuable our home is for everybody. One of the main people to profit here from this COVID-19, of course, have been people like Amazon online sales. And even the home centers have really had an enormous surge in online sales. Do you have an online business?
Yes, of course.
And how did you manage, how did it go? And how did you manage to cope with this extra demand?
Yeah, the interests of our customers are shifting to easy to use, safe, quick, contactless, and one-stop shopping. To meet these requirements, we accelerated the investment in the development of a click and collect service. We call this Cainz pickup. Actually, initially, it was in store pickup only. Then we added in-store locker pickup. And now we are planning to expand our service to pick up at lockers outside the stores and in parking lots. In May last year, Edward Jean introduced us to Mr. Corey Castadino of Bunnings, Australia, which was leading in terms of click and collect, drive and collect operation. I contacted him and got a lot of advice about their best practices and lessons learned. We are now experimenting with drive and collect. I am very grateful to the Bunnings people, which was made possible due to the international friendship among Edward Jean, and I thank them very, very much. In online, we have several operation trials. One of them was a lottery system using our application for mask sales. We changed from selling on first-come, first-service basis at store to using the app so that customers do not have to line up long time at store. Our customers said this way very fair. This was very fair and allowed us to evaluate our trials.
Yeah. What you were telling me about your experience with Bunnings, I thought it was a very good, the way that all the companies from all the world came together last year and explained how they were coping with COVID-19. And it's very nice to hear the confirmation from you that it went very, very well and you learned a lot by it. So that pleases me very much. So online sales, low percentage. What are your percentage sales of online at the moment?
Yeah, our online sales in the single digits are very, very small, but they are increasing rapidly.
Mm-hmm. So you have 220 stores altogether, 225 stores together. The people, the CEOs I've been speaking to in these interviews are very optimistic about having the physical stores in the future. How do you see the future with physical stores?
The idea, which was thought previously, that physical retail would be replaced by online retail, is now changing. Physical and online retailing respectively have advantages and disadvantages. I think from the customer's point of view, as well as from the operational efficiency point of view, but physical and online are complementary and reciprocal. Click and collect is a good example. Customers can secure items which they definitely want at e-commerce, and customers can pick them up at the store whenever they like at their convenience. For retailers, we can utilize the stock at the store and solicit customers to buy additional goods when they can. Regarding e-commerce operation, recently we have begun an experiment in which we dispatch items or ordered via online from existing stores. We are trying to make a flexible delivery network through the combination of e-commerce and physical stores. Our stores are big and keep a lot of inventory. It's a wise way to use our nationwide stores in Japan as a warehouse for e-commerce. We will continue opening more physical stores in areas where there is still room for consideration. We do not consider physical store sales and online sales separately. Our point of focus are how can we achieve an inconvenience-free purchase? How can we make our proposals fit for our customers? And how can we deliver emotional purchase experiences to our customers? To achieve these goals, we pursue the best combination of physical and online.
Hiro, when I came over to Japan, I had the great pleasure of visiting your most modern store support center. It's probably one of the very modern store support head office centers I've ever seen. And you are a leader in digital transformation. So how do you see the future and what are you doing in this digital transformation going forward?
Cainz made an IT retail declaration in 2018 and began digital transformation. In order to realize our DX strategy, we hired IT professionals and opened an office called Cainz Innovation Hub in Omotesando. It's here, mid-Tokyo. We also made an investment of $150 million over 3 years in the digital department currently. The digital department has more than 1,000 staff members and is mainly working on our system development. In the future, utilizing digital technology will become more and more indispensable so as to boost customer satisfaction and improve business efficiency. For that reason, I think it is important how quickly the organization can respond.
Well, it certainly must be a very, very inspiring for people to go to work into your office. So how do you communicate? I mean, you're now not only are you the chairman of Cainz, you're also, I believe, the president of the I would say conglomerate, the very, very big business. So how do you personally communicate with your associates?
I make as much time as possible to go around the stores and try to communicate with my employees. In addition, I share my thoughts via the monthly company newsletter, and my employees can freely share their opinions with me on your intranet at any time.
Yeah, so what are you also doing now to improve the working conditions of your people?
Japan is now facing a serious decrease in population, especially the decrease of working population. Retail industries are suffering from this the most. Also, in my company, existing store staff are used to overworking, and I have been concerned about that. Due to the pandemic at this time, unemployment has increased in particular industries like the restaurant industry, the apparel industry, and the travel industry. In June last year, in order to solve such social issues and our labor shortage, we announced we will be hiring 3,000 new people, including part-time and permanent, over 1 to 2 years. We currently have 222,000 employees. The additional 3,000 was a big decision for us. But thanks to this, we are now easing the overworking situation. We are also trying to improve the working environment and staff safety through a system to gather feedback from the staff constantly and directly.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, also, Cainz is a renowned specialty retailer of private label products. I often think this is neglected in many companies. The opportunities of really creating a strong brand through your own products, I think, is enormous. And in my experience, not. I know you do it very, very well. So tell us a little bit about your private labels and the history about what you're doing.
Yeah. Our private labels recently have received not only the Good Design Award in Japan, but also IF and Red Dot Design Award every year due to the refinement of our products. This is a result of focusing on development that led to quality of life improvement across all our products. These good outcomes stemmed from the growth of our design team, and all our employees are able to test and use these products in their everyday lives.
Okay, well, thank you. Let us move on to another subject today, which is really affecting everybody's business, climate change and corporate social responsibility. The world is suffering from climate change. What is your company doing to improve the situation and to ensure that we're working towards a more greener future?
If mention small efforts we are doing for climate change, they include the use of EV cars, reduction of energy like electricity and gas, and recommendations to customers such as buying more items which are eco-labeled and green-related products. We are doing those things on a daily basis. With the spread of SDGs and ESG investment, the importance of sustainable resource procurement is increasing. And our latest store is adopting Japan's first numbers using domestic FSC certified products last year. And it will be adopted for another store in the future. FSC means Forest Stewardship Council. As a home center, I think our capabilities on a big scale are still limited. On the other hand, we can do more against national disasters coming from climate change. Recently, Japan has been suffering from big typhoons and heavy rain almost every year. We think our business should be one of the infrastructures to support regional life, and we are trying to realize this. For example, we made a scheme to keep abundant stocked products, which may be necessary in disaster cases. And those will be delivered speedy not only our stores, but also to local governments in damaged areas.
Yeah, I think climate change, or I don't think, we all know that climate change is the biggest challenge facing the humanity today. I think Bill Gates just brought a book out. I think we in the home improvement industry are in an ideal situation to all get together from all over the world to work towards towards helping this climate change, to reducing carbon print, and etc. And we are going to deal with that coming forward in the very, very near future. So Another thing on corporate sociability, what are you doing for the community in the areas where your stores operate?
As a matter of fact, Japan has been hit by various disasters in recent years, which often occur in certain areas. We have sent relief supplies and made a donation to local governments in the past. For example, we donated $1 million to the affected areas and also provided masks, pocket warmers, portable stoves, and long-sleeved shirts, etc. Soon after the Great East Japan earthquake in 2011 and 2019, we provided relief supplies such as batteries, T-shirts, and work shirts to the area affected by the typhoon storm and did fundraising at each group company stores.
The other aspect of corporate social responsibility is modern slavery in the supply chain. How are you tackling that as well in Japan?
When we select our contract outstanding manufacturers in China, Vietnam, and other areas, we check if they are compliant with labor laws and other human rights regulations. In addition, it is important to raise the awareness of our staff and suppliers regarding our human rights policy or CSR procurement policy through training and other means of communication. I think such activities should be treated as a given, and we should consider them as a CSV strategy for us to have business competitiveness and to expand our market via social contribution. I think we will strengthen such activities in order to increase our brand image.
Okay, thank you. Now we've got two questions from two people following this webinar today. One is from Rainer Sternhard. Rainer is he's the editor of DIY International, which all our members receive. And he has asked, in Europe, we saw renewed interest of the younger generation for DIY, home improvement and urban gardening caused by the pandemic situation last year. Is that the same in Japan?
Thank you. And the same is true of Japan. Due to the influence of stay home last year, the number of younger customers who are interested in DIY, gathering, and outdoor activities have increased by about 20%.
Oh, okay. The second question we have is from Terry Coman. Terry Coman is the well-known home improvement specialist in the Benelux area. And Terry is a great friend of Edra. He has wrote, Japan is facing two major problems within the coming years: the structure of the population and of the aging population. How are you, as the CEO of Cainz, anticipating on the impact of these dramatic issues as they will directly affect the DIY business?
Thank you, Thierry. The current situation of our main customer segment is over 50 years old. So negative impact will be unavoidable in an aging society. On the other hand, in Japan, where there was no DIY boom amongst the then baby boomers then, like the West, we expect that the number of younger generations who enjoy DIY life will increase. I think The key is whether or not young customers can be retained in categories which increased sales such as DIY, gardening, and outdoor because of the coronavirus situation.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed for answering this. Now, I'd now like to come towards EDRA and Jin and HEMA and the Global DIY Summit. But first of all, we're very, very delighted that you are a board member of the Jin, and we feel very honored that you sit on our board and offer also your advice on various things. So how do you always attend the Global DIY Summit? Tell us a little bit about that.
I appreciate the activities of the Global DIY Summit very much. In the early stage of COVID-19, we could share the situation immediately in each region and countermeasures of the government and our members there. Such information was very, very valuable for us. In addition, the webinar are a good opportunity for us to communicate with the top people of home center in each region. It was very encouraging for me to learn about the effort that they have put in and that we have the same passion and ideas that home center is essential and safety should be a priority.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this area that home improvement is essential retailing has really come through very, very strongly and may long continue, although unfortunately it doesn't apply everywhere. So we're now coming to the closing question. You are the owner and the chairman of Cainz and also this huge business, 28 companies altogether and 5 major retail businesses, of which you are also the chairman. So what are your main challenges in running such a huge business?
From my point of view, what is important is termination of the vision within Cainz, the development of executives, and the hiring of employees necessary for organizational development. In fact, daily operations are being handed over to President Takaya. So my mission is to transform the Beia Group into a holding company and into a visionary and innovational gathering.
Well, I'm sure with the impeccably high standards you have at Cainz and the rest of your business, I'm sure that your company has got a very, very good future. We are now coming to the end of this interview. Is there any more comments you'd like to make generally?
Yes. To be honest, until I joined Edra Jin in 2015 and gave a short speech in London, I thought narrowly and was thinking about nothing but Japan. If I hadn't had dinner with you and Goto-san and my wife in Shibuya the year before, I might still think and act narrow-mindedly. I made many friends by joining this society and participating in study tours in Japan and South Africa. I was able to broaden my outlook by learning and sharing about common problems and their visions. I was lucky to meet John at that dinner and really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much.
Well, that was very, very kind of you, and it's been a great pleasure. And I think that Japan being so an active member of our Global Home Improvement Network has really added a lot of value to what we're trying to do. And I think particularly your company, and this is why I love retailing, because it is retailing its very best, impeccable standards, leading by example, superb stores, looking after the community, caring for the environment. This is the power, I think, that we have in retail, and I'm sure that this will increase as it goes on, as we take more and more responsibility of what is happening, not only within our business, but also on areas of the climate change and all the other issues facing us today. So Hiro, thank you very, very much indeed for this interview. It's been really, for me, it's been really wonderful to have you here. And I know I'm speaking for all the people who are following this interview today. We thank you very much indeed and wish you continued success in the future. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.